Warrior. Let's talk about stalking. I don't think we talk about it enough. And with what's going on in 2023, I think we should really start talking about it, especially since, and I'm going to read this because I want to make sure I get the wording correct for you, that the Supreme Court set aside a stalking conviction in the case Counterman v. Colorado. Now, what am I talking about? The Supreme Court just this past Tuesday made it somewhat harder to prosecute online stalkers, ruling the First Amendment protects the free speech of those who repeatedly send unwanted and harassing messages if they lack the understanding that their words are seen as threatening. In a 7-2 decision, the court set aside the stalking conviction of a Billy Counterman, a Colorado man who sent hundreds of disturbing and alarming messages to Coles Whalen, a singer and a songwriter. In upholding the conviction, lower court judges had said a reasonable person would understand his messages would be seen as threats. But the Supreme Court said the First Amendment requires more. It requires proof and an understanding the defendant would have some subjective understanding of the threatening nature of his statements, said Justice Elena Kagan, writing for the court in Counterman versus Colorado. Now, I stopped there for a second because I started thinking about this. Normally, we hear stalking, we think crime, right? Somebody lurking in the bushes, somebody looking in windows, somebody threatening, harassing. At least that's the way I think of it. So when I first read this decision that came out, I was very interested. A lot of the work we do at the Warriors involves stalking, frankly, and stalking online, stalking in real time. So I thought, oh, okay, well, definitely there's going to be some sort of decision in favor of the potential victim, the person being stalked. So I had to kind of read this actual decision over and over again to understand it, to make sure I was clear on it. And that's why I wanted to kind of read it directly to you without going into, as they say, the weeds, the exact wording of it, because it's very difficult to understand. But saying that the First Amendment protects the free speech of those who repeatedly send unwanted and harassing messages if they lack the understanding that their words are seen as threatening. Well, who determines if they understand what they did or not? This is very murky to me. I'm not really understanding this at all, to be honest with you. So while everybody is very busy talking about the Supreme Court decision regarding affirmative action, I think we should be talking also about this stalking. I don't really understand what Justice Elena Kagan thinks the First Amendment rights of the stalker. I mean, it's pretty easy to understand threatening or harassing emails or threatening or harassing actions in real time. So we have that going on. We also have the end of June upon us. I'm sitting in New York City, where today I could just see the smoke rolling in from uptown somewhere along the Hudson River, and tomorrow being even worse. A reminder that our children are being brought up in this kind of doom gloom, we're calling it. Everything is doom. We had COVID, doom. We have the educational crisis, doom. We have the mental health crisis, doom. We have the internet and AI. And that reminds me, I have a new newsletter going out tomorrow. Please sign up for it. Go to lynswarriors.org. Scroll down on the right side. E-newsletter, couldn't be easier. Sign up. And just this overall gloom of society, of culture, this normalization of sexualization of our children. So think about these poor kids. And when I say kids, I usually say 30 and under, at least 25 and under. And I'll tell you why I say that. The developing brain, all of the studies show, really doesn't develop until someone is about 26 years old. So let's just say 30 and under. Can you imagine every single day they're hearing climate doom, all of this doom, and they're hearing all the adults talking? So we have to do a better job at stepping up and stepping out and being positive, engaging, empowering, reassuring them I don't say this lightly at all because uh, right before I decided to do a video, the days get away with me. They're full of Warriors work. They're full of uh, radio work I do. I do a daily show from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern called State of the Nation. And that requires headlines and research and guests and making sure I get the information right on top of Warriors, on top of 2 other radio programs. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying the days are full. So when I do these videos, 10, 11, midnight, and I'm like, I better do a video and talk about things. I have an endless list of things I always want to talk about, but I find doing an hour video, people don't stay tuned in. So I'd rather do shorter ones, and hopefully you will stay tuned in. But we have to get to the kids. It's the summertime now. Lighten up a tad, which I know is hard because how about the kids here in New York? I know a friend of mine also tonight in Tennessee. She said, we have the smoke here. And she lives in a beautiful place with the mountains and 100 acres. And she said, there's what's going on. There's smoke here. I had the phone call I started saying to you before I started this video, hearing about a 26-year-old hospitalized who's having mental health problems. So many things going on with our young people. So if they see this smoke, what do you think kids think? A 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, teenagers. At least with teenagers, you can try to talk to them and reason, but this is that doom and gloom for our kids. It's very frightening, especially going into the holiday weekend where we all get out. We usually visit friends and family or picnics or watch the fireworks and just kind of kick off to the summer. And now we got this. And what if you were planning a family trip? What if, unfortunately, you're stuck at the airport? Look what's going on at the airport. You have your children with you. It's overwhelming. It's upsetting for them. So we got to really be warriors and step up here. There's no more pussyfooting around, as I like to say. We are going to take control. We're going to talk to our kids age appropriately. I don't care if they're 6, 16, or 26. We're going to reassure them. You're going to stay on top of what's happening online by going to lynswarriors.org, educating yourselves first, then your kids, sharing the information within your home, other family members, and your community, your friends. But this is frightening. To go back to what a Supreme Court justice is saying about stalking, I don't really understand where it's coming from. And the Supreme Court also, that is usually the final word on something. And it's a very murky, doing a big disservice to those being stalked online now and those being stalked in real time. Because not that long ago, we just had stalking, which wasn't even, any kind of crime at all. Somebody hiding in the bushes or somebody bothering you at school or something. But now, because we have the internet, it's this internet, the internet that we love. But remember, warriors, to every good thing, we're not giving our internet back. I love it. You love it. There's the flip side, and there's always the bad actors. I am warning you, as I've been warning you, keep an eye on the AI, artificial intelligence. Keep an eye on what's coming. As a matter of fact, in my newsletter, I start out talking. I don't want to give it away, but since I started talking about it, I'm talking about AI because there's never enough talk, in my opinion, appropriate talk, how it might affect you or your children, your family members. And there was an article just the other day that Meta, META, which is Instagram and Facebook, that's the company name, has created this program. And the little bots become these little sex bots. Now, the argument being they're not real. So if we form the bot in the image of a child, we're not harming anybody because it's not real. But here's what I am here to tell you. A couple of things. Well, everybody's keeping an eye on that. The real victims being abused, while law enforcement, the powers that be, are looking to shut down that kind of predation. It will take the hands off of going after, there's always a lack of manpower, lack of resources, the real victims of this child predation. The other thing I want you to understand is that these bad actors can go in and take your child's image, their face, their body, off of the internet and create their bot with your child's face. So yes, it's not human, but it's your child's face. There are no laws for any of this. Big question mark. Lawyers tell me it's a big question mark. Big tech experts I know tell me it's a big question mark. Security analysts tell me it's a big question mark. So I guess we never learned anything from, and I say this in quotes, social media, which I like to call sometimes anti-social media, where we did not put the safety features and the guardrails in place up front to help already overburdened parents and kids. We're just letting AI, it will run rampant. And when you read these things, okay, let's step up and take 6 months, a 6-month break, or let's take a break so we can develop the guardrails. It's too late. It's here. It may not have been fully launched yet, and it hasn't, but it's already here. My theory is always when we hear about something, it's been around 5 or 10 years already. So we have to take care of the kids. We have to step up. We have to be that warrior. So you've got some homework, some terrific news. I need to repeat that Connecticut recently became the 9th state to end child marriage. And we've got a couple of other states, Michigan, on the governor's desk, ready to be signed, and that would be the 10th state. So you need to find out. This is another issue. I know. It's like a big wheel with a lot of spokes that we got to keep an eye on everything. Find out what your state does. Go to unchained@last.org. There's a map there. It will tell you, you press on your state, tells you what's going on in your state. And find out, because we have a letter writing campaign. This practice of child marriage must be ended. It is being used as a tool with the loopholes for human trafficking. So I'm going to leave it there, warriors. We're going into a holiday weekend. I hopefully am going to get some more videos out. Finish up that newsletter right now, get that out tomorrow, sign up. Keep an eye on the kids if you do nothing else. Devices off 10 minutes a day, including you. Remember, community creates change. Each and every day, be a warrior.